I'm Stephen Edwards, and this is the Great British Chef Signature Series. I think like a lot of kids, I wanted to be a footballer, but when that dream soon died, I was like, actually, let's see what I do enjoy doing, and I enjoy cooking. When I came into the industry, my parents tried to put me off. That's the industry. You either adapt to the industry or it's not for you. Whereas now the industry is now like, actually, what can we do to be better than our competitors? I remember there was a chef called Andrew McNaughton who put me on the straight and narrow. You know, I was a little bit cheeky, but also took me under his wing. You know, you end up almost being like a reincarnation of all the chefs that have taught you. So my name's Stephen Edwards. I'm the chef owner of Etched by Stephen Edwards in Hove, which is just outside of Brighton. The dish I'm doing today is cherries with chocolates. We're going to make our custard for the ice cream. So in here we've got our caster sugar and egg yolks. And in the pan we've got our milk and cream, which we're just going to heat up. While it's heating, we can whisk our sugar and yolks. We can see the yolks are quite dark, and what we want to do is just lighten them up by combining them with the sugar. Whether you're making ice cream or not, this is actually quite a nice little custard recipe that you can have with your apple crumble if you need. We see already the yolks have gone a lot paler. So milk and cream has come up to a simmer. I'm just going to pour maybe like a quarter in. We're literally just tempering the eggs and sugar before adding back to the pan. So all we're doing with the custard, we've got it on a medium heat. We can see the steam coming off. We're just whisking it constantly. We want spinning to slow down. That means it's getting thicker. Because it's for an ice cream, we just want to cook the yolks. We don't want to make it as thick as a custard that you'd pour over a crumble. So next up, we're making our cocoa nib tuile. What's great about this is a really simple recipe, but gives a lovely texture, a lovely crunch to the chocolate. Got our glucose in here already. Our butter is going in there. Caster sugar and milk. So we combine those ingredients. They're just all heated up. We're going to remove from the heat and leave to cool a little bit before adding our cocoa nibs and cocoa powder. So next up we're going to be poaching our cherries. I mean, I love when cherries come into season. The season's quite short, but it always tells me that summer's here. So first thing we're going to do is just, again, a simple poaching liquor. Got our water, caster sugar, and a little squeeze of lemon in there as well. Just going to bring that up to the boil. While it's coming up to temperature, just going to use a knife and go either side of the cherry stone. So I brought the liquor up to the boil, just put the cherries in there and just going to leave it to cool. It's a great way of preserving fruit and vegetables. Is really important. We can then use it later on in the year, but also it just adds a different element to the dish when we piece it together. So our glucose, milk and sugar and butter has now come down to room temperature. Just going to fold in our cocoa powder and cocoa nibs. Now we've got that mixed together, we're literally just going to spread it out. We use steel pat mats in the restaurant, but if you haven't got that, like baking paper is absolutely fine. With this recipe, we don't need to spend hours like getting it ultra thin. What will happen, because it's got the glucose and sugar and butter in there, it will naturally spread out as we bake it in the oven. But we just want to give it a little helping hand first. The key is not to put too much on, because it will spread out as it cooks. And we're just going to put that in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. This is the coconut tuile that's come out of the oven and chilled or cooled down to room temperature. As you can see, it's nice and crispy now. We can store this in the freezer as well, so anything that we don't use, store it in the freezer and you can bring it out for future chocolate dishes. So next up we're making our chocolate cheesecake, which is probably the easiest cheesecake you can make, I think. So we're going to heat up our double cream and sugar. The recipe is actually 2 lots of double cream, so the first lot in here with the sugar. The second lot of double cream we're just going to mix with some Philadelphia cream cheese. If you're making a bigger batch, you can use a food processor for this, but we're literally just trying to break down the Philadelphia with the cream to make it smoother. The cream and sugar, we're just heating it up and we're going to pour it over the chocolate to melt. We're just trying to get purity of flavour. If we do a chocolate dish, we want it to be tasting the chocolate. This one in particular was with the cherries, so just getting that balance between the two things. So So the cream and sugar we've heated, poured it over the chocolate. Again, the chocolate we used is Valrhona chocolate, but what we're looking for is like a 70% dark chocolate. Now this has kind of come down to the right temperature by mixing the two together. We brought down the temperature of the cream and the sugar, and then it just allows us then to fold in. And then with this recipe, it's best just to leave it at room temperature before plating up. It's the easiest chocolate cheesecake recipe I think you can make. We've got our chocolate cheesecake, which we've got a spoon with hot water, and we're just gonna, a bit chefy, but again, how you plate this up is completely up to you. It's mainly about the flavours. We've then got our marinated cherries. I'll try and keep it like quite organic but clean. You know, I don't want to make a mess on the plate, but I don't want to be conscious about too many hits to the plate as well. We've also got our fresh cherries as well, which we're just going to slice down. We've then got our cocoa nib tuile, which is now cooled down to room temperature. And then finally, our cherry ice cream. So for our cherry ice cream, we combine our custard or ice cream base that we made earlier with the marinated cherries and then place into an ice cream machine to churn. So this is our dessert for today, which is chocolate and cherries. So chocolate cheesecake, marinated and fresh cherries, cocoa nib tuile and cherry ice cream.